Let's go.
Gonna try to play a video game.
Well,
Sounds
you
better.
try better than I do, so
All
right. If you would like to tell everyone who you are and who this great person in the game is, as if no one doesn't know.
I actually wasn't aware that we were live. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know about all that stuff you said, but I'm TGH. I speedrun Celeste, and hello, and I'm gonna speedrun Celeste for you guys right now. So I'm ready whenever you guys are. So we'll be getting a countdown soon.
Yep. If you would like to give a countdown, we can do that.
All right. Cool. I'll do it from 5. Okay.
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. All right. So this is Celeste, all red berries. Which means we play through the entire game, including the post-game content, Chapter 9. Excuse me, not Chapter 9, not Chapter 9 yet, Chapter 8. Excuse me, Chapter 8 is the core. And we collect every single red berry in the game. Red strawberry, that is. Did you know that strawberries aren't actually berries? Anyway, I digress.
Wait, whoa. You have to explain yourself. What do you mean strawberries aren't berries?
They are, I don't know what they are, but they're not berries. You can quote me on that. Yeah, I don't know, but either way.
I need a Wikipedia article. You keep playing, I'm gonna look this
up. Go ahead, Wikipedia it up. Anyway, okay, so chapter 1 is a city, and honestly, I think it's the hardest chapter in the entire run, so let's see if we can be solid here. I'm gonna be doing IGT strats, by the way. There are a lot of, okay, good. That's not good, though. A lot of strats here that we do in chapter 1 and elsewhere in the run, where we actually return to the map after getting some berries instead of going ahead and just finishing the level outright, which is faster in real time, but this game, it's very hard to talk and play this game at the same time, by the way. Okay. I will get better at this eventually, hopefully. Okay, there we go. Alright, so after I get this berry up here, I'm going to be returning to the map. Time actually doesn't run in the in-game timer while you're in the level select. So this is the level select, so time's not going to be running. And the community really doesn't care that much about real time at all. Like, we just use IGT. Oops. Another thing about ARB, as we call it, is we have to get 4 hearts. Four of these crystal hearts that are hidden, there are 1 in each level. So this one, just 1 second. Okay. That'll work, I guess. Alright, we need to get 4 of these to unlock the last level, which is the core. So we'll be getting the ones that are fastest, which happen to be Chapter 1, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, and Chapter 6B. And I'll explain that later. 6B is actually the faster heart to get between that and Chapter 2. So there are a lot of different mechanics that I'm going to try to explain in this game that are actually taught to you later, or like at least hyperdashing is taught to you. Hyperdashing is this. That's a hyperdash. Basically, you jump a very long distance. There's also just a normal dash cancel. You do this by essentially what you're doing is you're using your dash to provide yourself momentum, and then jumping to maintain that momentum, and also give you more momentum. But that's actually taught to you in one of the post-game levels, Chapter 8C. Which is the last thing that you're supposed to be doing in this game. So here I'm going to be returning to map again after this berry. Okay, so berry mechanics are very strange. It's not like a Mario game or a Sonic game where you collect a coin or you collect a ring and that's it, you have it. No. So see, these berries are trailing me right now. This berry is trailing me. If I were to die with this berry following me, that berry would go back to where it was. I would not keep it. So I need to be very careful. I need to either collect berries right away, or I need to make sure not to die if one's trailing me. I mean, I guess for marathon purposes, it's really no big deal. If I do lose a berry, just go back and get it. It really doesn't take that much time, relatively. It's not like it's gonna throw everything off schedule or anything, unless I do it over and over and over and over again, which hopefully won't happen. But oh yeah, so that's chapter 1, 20 out of 20. We're good. Moving on to chapter 2, which is significantly easier in my opinion than chapter 1. This is, I think we go from the hardest chapter to the easiest chapter in the run. But yeah, the game is all about just providing your own momentum, or, you know, using your environment for momentum and keeping it by jumping and doing all sorts of other shenanigans to maintain that. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to chime in with like descriptions of things that I do that are notable, but for the most part, it's probably just gonna be me like reacting to like how I'm playing. But yeah, I'll try to chime in with app descriptions. These stream blocks, by the way, so they're pretty simple. Chapter 2 introduces these. You dash in one side, you come out the other. It's pretty simple. Once again, berry trailing me. I need to be very careful not to die. And I'm gonna go ahead and collect that one. I'll collect the next one on the next screen. There we go. Alright, so I did something there called a corner boost. So corners in this game, what you can do on corners is you can launch yourself at them with any amount of velocity, and while you're holding grab, you can actually like press jump and you'll just fling past it without losing any momentum. In fact, you'll actually gain momentum. It was the result of a patch, actually, that fixed a bug where you would dash up against the wall and try to climb up it immediately, but if you buffered the climb, you like wouldn't grab the wall. Oh, that's fine. Okay. I didn't really mention battle line at all, so that battle line, that person that we just saw back there, that, you know, there may or may not have been 5 of them at any given time. That was known as Battlein. She's a part of you, is what is canonically called in game. So she is basically your alter ego of sorts. She's not a real like entity. I don't know if she is or not. This game's lore is kind of strange, but it's very, very symbolic. But yeah, she's basically your inner anxieties and fears like manifested, and trying to stop you from climbing up the mountain because it thinks you're not good enough. For those who haven't played this game, I would strongly recommend you play this game, not only because it's a great feeling platformer and it's just awesome level design and this game is really well crafted, but also the story is extremely well done and ties the game together quite nicely. Like, I highly, highly recommend this game. Alright, so now we're in chapter 3. The bane of casual players, because this chapter introduces cycles in the form of these little dust bunny guys. I just did a couple of things called ultra dashes on that last screen. Ultra dashes are essentially, so first, before I talk about ultra dashes, I have to talk about parallel dimensions. No, just kidding. I have to talk about something called extended hyper dashes, which are, so you can hyper dash, but you can separate your inputs in such a way so that you get your dash back midair. So you see me do this a lot. You see me hyper dash, and then dash again in the air, and you're like, how does he do that? So what I'm doing there is I'm separating my inputs so that the cooldown for the dash actually runs out. The cooldown for the dash refresh, excuse me, it runs out before I jump, and therefore I have my dash again midair. There's a 5-frame window for each of those, and what I can do after I extended hyperdash, I'm just gonna call it extended for short. What I do after I extended is I can dash downward diagonally in the direction I'm going, and it actually changes the momentum. And it's actually not supposed to do that. It's actually sort of an exploit. But you go very fast that way, and that is how we achieve some of the fastest travel speeds that we do in this game. Whoops, that's not good. So I'm trying to wall bounce here in between. Okay, really? I'm trying to wall bounce here in between the Dust Bunny and the. There we go. Okay, we got there.
The Dust Bunnies are angry because they're not actually berries.
I mean, they're about as angry as I am about that.
Is there any way we can convince the community to change it to like all red fake berries or
ARF fruits? Sounds pretty, or no, not ARF. ARFB? I like
yeah,
ARFB.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it used to be all red strawberries, believe it or not, but that created some problems. If you look at the acronym, you'll realize what the problem is actually. But yeah, so it's ARB now, thankfully. All right, so here's the best room in the game, the huge mess room, where we're just kind of sneaking through this maze of a room. So this has 3 sections you can do. You can do them in any order, and it's actually really neat game design because depending on the order you do this part in, sections of, or not sections, but like obstacles that are later in the in this part of the game will actually be out of the way in a different way. It's hard to describe, but like that towel, if I were to do another if I were to do the towel section first, wouldn't be there, so I wouldn't be able to land on that towel.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah, so in any percent, we actually do the south, like I just did, the south end, and then the north end, and then the east end. But in categories that get the heart, which we are going to be getting the heart here, in any category that gets the heart, we're going to do the east end first before the north end. And I'll show you why. So there's actually a neat little trick here with the heart, where you can actually skip talking to Oshiro once here if you do it this way. So you have to go back and talk to Oshiro in order to like unlock the next part. And when you do that, you can go to the next part. But instead, we're gonna go get this heart. But before we get the heart, we're gonna leave the screen to the left. So here's the heart. We're gonna go past the heart, leave down there, come back, and then get it. So the game actually does not have a designated spawn point for when you enter the room from there. So you just end up here. And we can continue without talking to Oshiro at all. I want to collect this berry. There we go. That's not good. I'm gonna try to sneak my way in there. Okay. Alright, so once you hit all these buttons, all the debris in this room gets cleared out. You can get the key in advance. Whoa, that was close. Yeah, so I haven't really covered all the berry mechanics here. So berries will collect for you, like they will be in your inventory if you land and stay in a safe spot, quote unquote, for 9 frames. Which means that I can actually extended hyperdash or like extended dash cancel, which is like hyper dashing except you're not crouching, and it's a higher. Excuse me while I dash through these dust bunnies. There we go. So that's called the demo dash. This game happens very quickly. I apologize. I cannot keep up sometimes with the commentary.
I'm like sitting here like, how did you just dash through the dust bunnies?
All right, I'll explain. I'll explain after I do the this Oshiro section here.
Okay.
It's called a demo dash. I'll say that much right now, and it involves exploiting hitboxes.
Okay. What are you doing, Oshiro here? Why is he angry at us?
He's angry because we left a really bad review for his resort. We left like a 2-star review on Yelp, and he's very angry. He's the owner of the hotel, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. But yeah, so he's extremely angry. He's chasing us across the roof of his hotel, trying to kill us as hotel owners do when you leave them bad reviews. But we're just gonna like steal some strawberries from the top of his roof and move on. Okay. That is resort. Okay, so I'll explain demo dashing. So it just so happens that those anytime you see a wall of spikes or a wall of dust bunnies, in Resort's case, those walls are made up of hitboxes, round shaped like ball-like hitboxes that are exactly 4 pixels apart, like almost without fail. So it just so happens that when you are crouched, your hitbox is exactly 4 pixels tall. So if we can do, and the way dashes work in this game is it reads the input for when you first like input for your dash. It reads what direction you are you're pointing at, and then 4 frames later it actually initiates the dash. Like the entire game freezes for that amount of time, and 4 frames later it, okay, that's not good. This is what happens when you talk and play. Okay. So it initiates that dash, and when it does that, you dash in the direction that you actually are holding at that time. I'm doing a very bad job at explaining this, but hopefully you guys can understand this a little bit.
So, so when you do the dash, you have to hold the direction afterwards, or during the dash when you hit the dash?
Basically, you can start your dash, and then you can start your dash without holding anything, basically. And then if you hold like, for instance, up, when you actually start the dash, you'll dash up.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But what you can do is you can actually trick the game into thinking that you're dashing down, so that you'll have a crouched hitbox and then face another way with your directional pad or whatever you're using to control. And you will dash in that direction with a crouched hitbox. So we do that at that part and dash pixel perfectly through the dust bunnies. Through the in between the hitboxes of the dust bunnies.
I would say I want to pick up Celeste and try it, but I should probably.
It's way easier than I made it sound, because we actually have a button that allows us to, like, so we're allowed to use third-party controller like binding programs, and what you can do actually is you can bind a button on your controller to the down arrow or whatever you're using for down on your keyboard, and for whatever reason you can just hold that button and then dash all over the place, and it'll just demo dash for you. It doesn't change the fact that it's pixel perfect, but it does make the actual dash itself easier. All right, so this is, by the way, this is chapter 4. I've been here for like two and a half minutes. So
I'm sorry I distracted you.
I hope you guys, that's okay. No, it's okay. I hope you guys like Super Mario 3, because, okay, come on. There we go. Because there's a really cool reference to Super Mario 3. You see that white block? Well, it's gone now. But there was a white block on the bottom left of that screen that you can actually crouch on to fall through and walk on the background just like in Mario 3. But it's faster to do what I did, unless you fail it like I did twice. So
Fun fact, I didn't know you could do that in Mario 3 until about 2 days ago, playing it on the NES collection for the Switch, and my partner was like, hey, just crouch on that thing and go behind the thing, and I was like, what? What is this?
Yeah, it's like that puzzle, or if you can even call it a puzzle, that gimmick received actually quite a bit of flack from people who didn't play Mario 3.
Yeah, I can imagine that like the reference would be lost and then it'd be kind of hard to understand.
Yeah, and like once they look it up, they're like, what? Like, what is this? Like, why? How would I ever have been expected to do that?
That would explain why I didn't know what to do with it. Now I need to go back and do it.
All right, so right there, I actually I exploited some hitboxes again. The spike hitboxes are actually very peculiar because you can move or face in the direction that the spikes are pointing, and they essentially don't have a hitbox anymore. Like, you can just go right through them. So I used that to my advantage there to collect that berry without having to go all the way back to the start of the screen and just self-destruct. Cool little jump here off of practically nothing to get that berry.
So I'm watching you do this, and I'm in awe because I hated most of this world because of the wind blowing was like the bane of my existence.
Oh yeah, the wind can be a killer.
I put the game down for like a whole month because of it, because I was just like, I can't do it.
The thing about the wind though is that as long as you're dashing, it actually doesn't affect your speed.
Okay.
So yeah, so and that also includes hyper dashing. Like, unless you hang in the air for a long time, which we generally don't. Yeah, like it doesn't affect your speed. So like in this screen, I can just kind of like ultra and hyper dash my way through, and it's fine. And I just barely stuck underneath that snowball.
So can you destroy the snowballs by jumping on top of them?
Yep, I just did. Okay. That's actually like the strat for that screen.
I just avoided them at all costs. I didn't touch them at all.
Yeah, understandably. Alright, and that is Golden Ridge. Chapter 4. I didn't really get...
It's over already? Darn.
I feel like I spent most of Chapter 4 talking about Chapter 3. I guess such is life with Celeste. But it is so hard to talk and play this game at the same time. Or at least for me it is. I apologize for not being totally clear with my my descriptions and commentary at times.
I'm trying to hold back like the 101 questions I will forever have every time I watch you play this.
I mean, if you have any questions, feel free. I mean, honestly, like I would probably have trouble finding things to talk about on my own.
I do have questions about much later stuff in the game. I think this section is pretty self-explanatory for now, with the bubbles and dashing through them. And I also noticed this is like all the switches and stuff open the, they're different than the other switches though.
Yeah, so there's switches you can dash into. I don't think any other part of the game has switches you can dash into like this. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, each chapter introduces something different and keeps the mechanics feeling fresh, which is really nice.
Something I also noticed is that when you dash those little blocks of the gems in the middle of them, they also move up or down depending on when you dash.
Yeah, these platforms are designed to basically move when you dash. They are pretty self-explanatory. We don't deal with a lot of them like that one. Whoops.
Are they considered safe spaces to land on to like obtain berries?
Generally, no. I don't think there are any actually that you can land on.
Okay, I was just curious. I'm trying to like supplement question/commentary now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of arbitrary sometimes, like where safe spaces are for berry collecting, but it's generally just anywhere you can't die is considered safe.
Okay.
Like just generally as a rule of thumb, but that's not always the case. Well, you can understand why they implemented the mechanic to have berries collect like after a certain amount of time, because sometimes the room involves like collecting the berry and then just going ahead and completing the room to actually finish getting the berry, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like you have to solve the puzzle back out.
Yeah, and that's why those mechanics exist.
Which I think is actually really nifty. You can't just obtain the berry and collect it. You also have to get out with it. Which would make a lot of sense if you're dashing, through the mountain. You need to like take the berry and be able to put it in your backpack,
Yeah.
When you land, when it's okay. That would make a lot of sense, physics-wise.
Yeah, chapter 5 is my favorite. Whoa, that's not. it's not my favorite anymore. Never mind. Chapter 5 is my favorite chapter in this category for sure. It's just. It's a maze casually. It really is. Like, or you can get lost very easily casually, but this chapter is awesome in ARB.
So what were those little almost teardrop looking things you're
The seeds. Okay, the seeds. I didn't mention this in chapter 4. There was a puzzle like that in chapter 4 too. So basically you just collect all the seeds without touching the ground, and you get your berry. The berry just appears. Or there's a cutscene that plays, but we skip it.
Oh, okay, because I was confused. I was like, what are those little things? Those aren't the feathers, but they're not berries either. What are they?
Yeah, so I actually exploited the wind a little bit in chapter 4 to make it so that I could touch the ground for a couple frames to get my dash back, which makes that particular room a little quicker. I'll explain it more in the summit. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll explain it more in the summit. I'm doing something now involving hitboxes, though. That's kind of janky. So what you do there is you're not supposed to be able to reach what I just reached by dashing up, but by actually crouching and jumping into the bubble, you can raise the hitbox of the bubble by, I think it's either 2 or 3 pixels. I don't remember exactly how much, but it raises the bubble just enough for you to be able to grab that. And I really am not sure why it does that. Doesn't make much sense, but it works.
Just does.
It just works.
Don't question it, it works.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so now I'm a seeker, or a beholder, whatever you want to call it. Has a bunch of different names. Some more expletive than others. We call them the community, but you know what I mean. So we take control of that seeker for a little bit, and it basically is designed to teach you what seekers do. They kill Madeline, just like okay, whoops. Skipping cutscenes is impossible. So's that. Okay, I'm gonna get this eventually. Come on. There we go. Okay. Yeah, never mind. Whatever. I was trying to corner boost off of the moving thing. I normally get it, but I didn't this time 3 times in a row, so that's cool.
Oh, so you need the seekers to destroy the blocks.
Yeah, you need the seekers to destroy that one. I think that's the only berry in a red block, though, that we see. There's a switch in a red block later. Seekers can also collect coins for you, which is really handy.
Oh,
So
you can bonk on them and like make them, I guess, frozen.
Yep. Yep, they become inactive for a bit and then they come back.
I also tried to avoid touching them. I didn't know you could I didn't know you could bonk on top of them.
Yeah, they can kill you just like that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. No, you didn't do it. You didn't do anything. That was my fault. That was...
So they can't follow you to the next screen though, right?
No,
they just stay
no. Yep.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna try another demo dash here. It's not working too well. Come on. There we go. Okay. So there's a 2-frame window for that one, provided you do everything else correctly. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Alright, this berry's following me, so I need to be kind of careful. Underneath here, nice little we call it a spike jump, but it's really not. So there have been a bunch of instances in this run where it looks like I'm just jumping off a bunch of spikes, but I'm really not. I'm jumping off of, there we go, I'm jumping off of the wall behind or underneath the spikes. Just because of the way hitboxes work, we're allowed to do that, but it's pretty tight to do that sometimes.
I was content with just thinking you bounced off the spikes. I was like, wow, there's another element of magic. You're just bouncing off spikes. That's fine with me.
Alright, so here comes the part of the game where you have to escort Theo out of the temple. And Theo's trapped in a crystal. He's pretty helpless, so we're just kind of throwing him around. And the way he's included in some of the puzzles involved here is pretty neat. Including the way we get the berry in the next room. We have to use Theo for that as well. Well, we don't have to, but we do. So we're gonna use the Seeker. We're gonna bounce on the Seeker, throw Theo up the switch. There we go. And we... Oh,
whoa.
That... Can you jump, Madeline? Thank you. There we go.
I can imagine just being Madeline just being like, oh, I guess. I guess I can jump.
So, one thing about Theo is that you can't actually dash while you're carrying him. So what you need to do is you need to throw Theo and then dash and catch him to maintain or to, again, provide your own momentum, because you can't dash with him, unfortunately. So it makes that part a lot more technical than it looks, probably. I just want to... I'm freaking out about something. Okay, I did get that berry in Old Site. Okay, perfect. I was wondering if I got the last berry in Old Site, but we did. All right, so Chapter 6. We don't see much of 6A. Instead, we do 6B. So every chapter has a B-side to it. It has a cassette tape, a hidden cassette tape that you can collect in the level in order to unlock that level's B-side, and it's a harder version. It's a much harder version of the A-sides. And the reason we do 6B is because the ends of B-sides have hearts, and you can collect those hearts as well to unlock the core. And this one happens to be a little bit faster than 2A heart, about 20 seconds faster, actually. At least, you know, the thing is, though, 6B is a pretty solid risk-reward factor, because 6E is hard. So you can potentially lose a lot of time in 6B trying to save time. And I'm gonna do a strat here that uses the block. I'm gonna do a strat that uses the block. There we go. No, I'm not. I didn't have enough momentum. That's fine. We call those blocks Kevin blocks, by the way. Shoutouts to Kevin Regami, who voiced the Kevin blocks. He's the head of Power Up Audio, who did the sound for this game. That's not the way to dash. Okay, so here's 6B. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that Chapter 6 does not have any berries in it. So we do not need to finish 6A, and upon finishing 6B, we actually unlock 7A anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we do not finish 6A in this run. That death was very strange, and I didn't like it.
I don't think Mads would like that either. Can't imagine she does.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it either, to be honest.
So what are these little blocks that you're hitting that explode?
These are bumpers. The little things that I'm bouncing off of, these are bumpers. So bumpers are essentially just that. They're like pinball bumpers, essentially. You hit them and they bounce you in the direction that you're... Whoa, okay. They bounce you in the direction that you're closest to at the time from the bumper in relation to the middle of the bumper. There's some pretty cool things you can do with bumpers as well, and I'm going to try to showcase them later in the level. See if we can get some diagonal dashes in. Those are kind of tight. We're good. So one thing I'm doing out of this water is I'm doing something called water boosting. Like that. That's a hyper dash combined with a water boost. So I'm essentially just pressing jump twice really quickly. I have 2 jump buttons on my controller. That makes it a lot easier. Yeah, for whatever reason, it gives you a pretty significant speed boost if you jump twice out of water. Alright, last room of this section. I don't know how I'm alive. Okay, there we go. So now I do the... there's a Battle and Fight version in 6A. We're gonna do the one in 6B, obviously. Which is much harder, and there's hardly any floor anywhere in the entire fight. So we need to be careful. And also, these screens are extremely long. So any mistake will cause us to die and lose a lot of time, most likely. Wow. Also feathers. Feathers allow you to fly in the air in any direction for a limited amount of time. Pretty self-explanatory. So this room, you're supposed to go all the way to the right to hit a Kevin block all the way over there. But we're just going to chill out here and wait for this gem to respawn. Optimally, that saves less than a second. Alright, nice. Cool. That's a fun room to look at. Alright, so there we go. So you can actually dash through bumpers while they're inactive. They have a certain cooldown period. That was really dumb. I'm talking. I'm not focusing. They have a certain cooldown period. You can just dash right through them and then come out the other side and boost that way as well. This room is bad. It's not bad, it's just hard and long and okay. I just retried by accident? Okay. Alright, there we go. There's no point in continuing that. This room, for me at least, it's very important to do it the same way every time. Okay. So if any one little thing goes wrong, it's probably better to self-destruct early as opposed to getting later in the room and realizing, oh, I can't really, I can't save this. Alright, so I'm gonna play it safe. There we go. Because I was not in a good position there. Okay, so needless to say, or suffice to say, we absolutely did not save time with that 6B over just getting the 2A heart.
But it was really cool to watch.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'll bet. Alright, so this is the longest level in the game. This is Summit. And I'm gonna do a cool looking demo dash here. Or I'm gonna die. That's gonna happen as well. I'm actually not sure why that didn't work. There we go. Okay. That's what it's supposed to look like.
I'm still like, every time you do it, I'm still amazed that you can just dash through spikes. Like, what is this game?
It's really cool, yeah. It's cool to see for the first time. Alright. So Summit is divided into 7 sections. You have this section, which corresponds to the Chapter 6 sort of aesthetic, except not really, because you're just coming out of Chapter 6. This is the city one, and it just goes in order of the chapters that we played. Also reintroduces all the mechanics introduced in those chapters.
Just in case you forgot.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, hey, remember this thing?
Yeah,
remember
this.
Thing you hated? You're gonna do it again.
When I finally, like, Akuyo actually is the one who convinced me to buy this game. And when I first started playing, I didn't understand you could grab onto the little blocks that launch you, the ones with the little, I guess the stoplight on them. And I kept trying it, and I was like, I had to message Akuyo and be like, all right, I don't get it. What am I supposed to do? And they were like, you have to hold on to it and then jump from it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, the game really tries its best, and for the most part succeeds in doing sort of like tutorials for how to actually use mechanics. Sometimes it falls a little bit flat, and I'll give you a great example of the blocks that you can steer in Chapter 4. It took me forever, and almost everyone that I watch play this game casually, or know who's played this game casually, took forever to find out that you can actually steer the blocks as well.
I didn't know you could steer them.
Yeah, so it can be a little bit faulty at times, but once you know the mechanics, this game is awesome. So we're gonna be a little bit dangerous here and take this berry all the way across here without collecting it. And collect it here. There we go. Okay. Good thing it collected. Because I missed the spring. Sometimes that berry doesn't like to collect there, which can be a little bit nerve-wracking for the rest of that room, as you might be able to imagine. That's not what I wanted. There we go. Yeah, they really like hiding things, or hiding berries, like, at the end of sections past where a battle line is. this room can be a pain sometimes, but we're good. I got the fast cycle in that room, nice. Okay. You can dash when you want to, Madeline, it's fine. Alright, we're good. We call this room Franker Z. Because it looks like a dog.
Does it?
Yeah. The blobs in that room are shaped, or at least, like, as far as I know, I was the first one to point it out. Looks like a dog. It's like shaped like a sort of like a dog, I guess.
I guess you can see it, yeah.
There's just Franker Z's in the chat now.
Alright, so coming up, there's an auto-scroller section here. There are actually a couple of them. But this section, we're actually going to skip the block and just go for it. There we go. Alright, so I mentioned earlier I was abusing wind mechanics for... Whoops. I was abusing wind mechanics for the seeds, which allow you to collect berries. There's another room up here with seeds, and so when there's wind in a room, it kind of messes with like the way the game detects. It's weird, but yeah, we just landed on the ground twice there, and the game didn't care. So it just gave us the berry.
Like, I don't know what happened, but we'll take it.
It has something to do with landing on like a one-tile wide platform and then just falling right off of it while there's wind.
Oh,
and in chapter 4, we did it with the wind with us, and there we just did it with the wind against us. So we actually demo dash over that block. That's ordinarily not supposed to be possible, but demo dashes make it possible. Alright, so 2500 can be a little bit scary because this berry, there's really not a great place to collect this berry. So we're just going to take this for a couple rooms and collect it there. There we go. Alright, so we get that berry. So you might be asking, so this little trick that I just did there, you might be asking why I didn't do that on the left. If you look really closely at that room, the room is not symmetrical, and the step that's on the right side that allows us to do that is actually a little bit lower on the left side. I'm gonna collect this. This is what we call door skip. There we go. So you're supposed to hit those switches on the wall, on the ceiling rather. Let's hit those switches on the ceiling to unlock to open those doors, but we don't do that.
So I have just a really another random tidbit. So I was saying that Akuyo got me to buy this game. So I got to that part of the game and I didn't know you could do that. And I was just like, I wonder if you could. And so I kind of just winged it and figured it out. And then I took a clip of it and sent it to Akuyo on Twitter and then got really mad because they were like, now you're a better Celeste player than me. You have to speedrun the game. You figured it out all on your own. And I was like, what? You can do that? She was like, yeah, that's like an actual thing that speedrunners do. And I was like, yo, nice.
Yeah, door skip has become, it really is not anymore, but it used to be a huge meme in the community. It used to be at least deemed by runners like myself and YP, like way back in the day. It used to be deemed too hard to do in full game runs. It used to be considered an IL strat, and now it's really not anymore, like everybody does it.
I was just like, why is the gap so big? Can I just like just dash under it? And you can, apparently. So that was like, nice.
Alright, so here's 3,000 meters, where the totally realistic downward wind is pushing down on us. And it makes Madeline feel very heavy. And now the wind, equally realistically, is going upward. Okay, I'm gonna get the flag actually.
I want to say the checkpoint numbers you get to, but I know that there is like a weird delay, so I don't want to. I don't want to shout them too early and ruin everything.
I think chat has you covered. Whoops, I was looking at chat. I was looking at chat to make sure I wasn't making a fool out of myself, and then I died. Ended up making a fool out of myself anyway. Such is life, I guess.
Sometimes it's cool to be a fool, don't worry about it.
Alright, so I'm gonna try something here that's quite risky. I'm gonna do something that's gonna save me probably 0.2 seconds. Alright, cool, I got it. So I skipped both those flags. I would have lost close to 20 seconds if I died there in order to save 0.2 seconds, because why not?
That sounds like a good trade-off.
Alright, so last dairy in the any percent section. So the run would end at the end of the screen in any percent, but it is not the end of this run. We still have the core to do.
You gotta get them not berries.
The not berries.
Yeah. You've crashed my entire world by telling me strawberries are not berries.
Brand new category, guys. All not berries.
All not berries. Oops,
All
not berries. Just oops, not berries.
Oops.
Oops, not berries. That's what I'm gonna call it forever now. Oops, not berries.
Alright, so that's the summit. I don't know what my time was. It wasn't... Okay, it was whatever. Alright, so now we have to do the core, but first we have to complete the epilogue and see my death count before we unlock the core. That's a lot of deaths. Alright, so the core is post-game content, technically speaking. But there are berries in the core, so we need to complete it. And the gimmick with this level is... so you still have 2 dashes, but you can't refresh your dashes by just landing on the ground like you ordinarily can. See how my dash isn't refreshing? It doesn't refresh until you transition screens or get these green dash crystals that refresh your dash. I'm gonna do something called ice skip here, and I'll do it. It saves about 35 seconds. Hopefully I can get it. No, that's not right. So yeah, this is a great trick to have right at the end of your run, for sure, because it can be I'm not getting enough speed. I think I'm... Nope, I'm not getting corner boost either. That's not a corner boost. So yeah, there's a berry over there that we're... Why am I not corner boosting?
Madeline, please, just corner
There
boost.
we go. There we go. Okay. All right, that's what it's supposed to look like. There we go. So what you're supposed to do, the intended way to get that berry is to go all the way to the right, and activate ice mode, which looks like this. This is ice mode, and so see how it just bounced on top of that. What was previously a fireball. So I bounce on top of those and get that berry on the left. It saves a lot of time, about 35 seconds, to not do that by doing what I just did.
That has already answered several questions I have.
And that is berry 173. There are 175 total. So we're almost done.
I feel like I've blinked and missed most of this.
The game does happen very fast, for sure.
Even though it's been 50 minutes, it still happens very fast.
So the last berry is on the, well, I think it's 2 screens from now, actually. So it's the last berry, but we don't just get that berry and quit out. We have to actually finish the core. Oh, it's the next screen. No, it's not. It's the next screen. It's coming up eventually.
It'll be there when we get there. The oops, not berry.
This screen. This is it.
Oh, because they're ice, you can jump on top of them. Okay.
Yep, exactly. So grab that berry. All right, cool. So now we just finish the level, and that'll be the run.
Now the screen is attacking you with the big blobs of color.
I forgot to mention the little trampoline things. I don't know exactly what you call them, but you land on them and they just like kind of fling you. They only do that in fire mode, and they are essentially like clouds, but you can grab them and land on them in any direction except for down. So the game actually forces you here to acquire the cassette tape in this room for Core B, except we are not going to be doing Core B, thankfully. So there's a cassette, and then it takes us all the way to the end of this room, and that's just how you get there. Alright, this is the last screen of the game. So time is going to be coming up when the heart appears on the screen, or when the graphic of the heart appears on the screen after I collect it. And that was not good, but whatever. And that's the run. Time. 53:21 in-game time. I guess that's not terrible for a marathon. But yeah, that is Celeste. All red berries. Thank you everyone for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for doing this. We actually I mentioned it before, but we originally were not going to have Celeste, but somebody else had dropped and couldn't do it. And we were like, oh, can we just put Celeste in here?
Oh, sick.
Teach is available overnight. Let's do it.
That's sick. Well, I'm glad I could do it for you. So, thanks for supporting a great cause as well.
Yes. If anybody would like to know what we're supporting, you can use !charity in the chat, and it will give you information about the Trevor Project. This is what we raise money for. They're pretty cool organization. Oops, all Celeste. Can we see the pie? Can you take us to the pie, please?
Oh yeah, sure.
I want to see the pie. Sorry, I get really excited about the pie.
All right, there we go.
Yay, the pie! Oh, it's super extra with the ice cream and everything.
It's a healthy looking pie.
Look at all those oops, not berries they're eating. Now I want pie, so do I. I do want pie.
All right, but yeah, everyone, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
As always, if you guys want to follow T, let me like type in the chat because I didn't set up the bot command. My bad.
There actually is no difference in the way the pie looks if you collect any golden berries. For those who didn't know, if I have any time to like explain, it'll take like 10 seconds.
Yeah, no, you're good.
So the game has more post-game content. After you complete the B-sides, there will appear golden berries at the beginning of every chapter that you can take throughout. And if you die once, it goes away. So you essentially have to complete all the chapters without dying once.
Whoa, that's intense.
That's when the real fun starts.
I'm already getting like I feel like my blood pressure raising and I like feel anxious just thinking about it. Like, just don't die. Just don't do it. Do you have anything you'd like to plug? Is there like a Discord or anything for Celeste speedrunning?
Yeah, there's a Celeste Discord. I don't have like an invite link on me right now, but I think you can find it on speedrun.com under resources, or one of the tabs has the Discord for sure. I know that.
We gonna find it.
Yeah.
We gonna find it. Speedrun.com. Oh, hey, the site's not down. Cool. Celeste.
For once.
Yeah, I know. Actually loaded. Cool. If it'll load. I think I spoke too soon. It just stopped.
It's there. It's there somewhere. I think it's under resources. And there are also tutorials under resources as well. YouTube playlists with like pretty much all the info you could ever need as a starting runner. So it is very easy to get into. You can learn the game at your own pace. It's a really good game if you're looking into getting into speedrunning, or if you just want a new run to do, even if you're not new. So
it was actually, I had to find it in the forum. It was not under resources.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay. Oh, it was the forum. All right. It was
Close
there somewhere.
Game is pretty popular. Holy moly. This game is extremely popular. Holy moly.
Yeah.
I'm like scrolling.
It certainly is, and deservedly so.
It's a great game. Thank you so much for running it again. The oops, all not berries.
No problem. I'll have to talk with the mods for getting the category renamed.
I will advocate for it. I will start a petition if I have to. Change.org, let's do it. All right, up next we have a Legend of Oasis, any percent with Walking Eye. So we're gonna go ahead and get them set up and switch over to the intermission. See you guys soon. Oh, Meow, thank you again for doing it.
Yeah,
I know that
absolutely.
I know that like sometimes you get really frustrated about dying, but like I've been watching the whole